Jason DeBruin. I grew up in Holland Landing. Well, I was raised by my grandparents. I had a brief stint with my dad in Alberta, but that didn't go over so well. He was always on the road traveling, and he was quite the mean drunk, along with my new stepmom. And she wasn't the most pleasant lady in the world. For example, one time I was late for dinner, so I got sent to the room with no supper. And then the following day, I had told him my watch had stopped, and she asked me, "Did your watch really stop the following day?" I said no, and she said, "Come in the house. I'll make sure you're not late for dinner again." And took a hot fire iron and stuck it right through my leg. She said, "That'll keep you closer to the house." I would have been about 12 at the time. Then another time, she threw me down the stairs and broke my hip. Um, and then the icing on the cake was she had an older son, and he come out of the washroom one day and said, "If you touch mine, I'll touch yours." And of course, that scared the hell out of me. I ran to her and told her what happened. I guess she didn't want my dad to know, so she actually shot me with a 22 rifle. I was able to slam the door, so it went through the bedroom door and hit me in the stomach. And I made a deal with her. I said, you get me back to my grandparents in Ontario, and I will tell them that I pulled the gun out barrel first and it went off accidentally." And within a week, I was back in Ontario with my grandparents.
But did your grandparents what really happened?
They never knew. Nobody ever knew.
You kept your promise.
Yeah. She was actually my grandparents' daughter, which is, I'm surprised how amazing they were. And she wasn't a very good mom, very lazy. I remember her tying me onto like a dog leash and then on a rope in the backyard so she could go in and have a nap, and then I would just run around in the backyard. Remember stepping on a nail on a board with a nail, and it went right through my foot, and I was probably 5 or 6. I remember it plain as day though. Lost my eye when I was 11 with a pellet gun playing cowboys and Indians. It was about 4 hours before Thanksgiving dinner, and we were just being kids, shooting pellet guns at each other, cowboys and Indians type thing. And I ended up getting hit in the eye. Then I lied because I didn't want my pellet gun taken away, and I told them that I had fallen and landed on a stick on a thorn. So then I ended up getting lead poisoning and almost lost sight in both eyes. Ended up spending 3 months in the hospital. It was a trailer park, so it was going to be a big potluck dinner and with all the campers and stuff. But I ended up going to 3 different hospitals. I went first to the clinic in Apsley, which is just a little town where the trailer park is north of Peterborough. They couldn't do anything, so they sent me to Peterborough Hospital, who then sent me down to Toronto. I think it was Sunnybrook I went to, and they said, "Oh, just go to Newmarket because that's where you live." And so I went there. So it's about a 6 hour trip by the time we made all the rounds there. And so I ended up there, and 3 months later, I was finally released. But a lot of problems because of my not telling them that it was a pellet. They finally found out later when after a bunch of x-rays. And so when it first happened, it didn't hurt at all, I guess because it was just a shock. And but it took a lot of learning how to depth perceptions and learning, like everything's 2D now, it isn't 3D, it's all flat like a painting. So if I go to shake hands or something, I sometimes miss, and even today. But back then, when it first happened, it happened quite often. When I finally got my driver's license, I was scared to pass a vehicle because I couldn't judge how far the oncoming car was properly, and it took a long time to learn all that. I did eventually. Before I actually got the glass eye with the pupil and everything in it, it was just a white cap on it, and it had two holes in it to drain any fluids and stuff as it was healing. And I had to wear a patch. And so, of course, being in public school, I was getting picked on and everything because I'm wearing a patch before Halloween. Oh, it's another 2 weeks before Halloween type thing, or along that line. And that's basically where my drug addiction started too, because they prescribed me Percocet. And of course, being raised by my grandparents, I took it exactly as it was prescribed. But when it was done, I ended up getting sick, dope sick, the sweats and puking and the shits, of course. But the worst part is you get restless leg systems. Your legs won't sit still. They're always moving, and you can't stop it. And you can't sleep. And drives me mental. But back then, nobody really knew why, or knew that that was the reason why. They just thought I had the flu or whatever. And ever since then, always breaking something or hurting myself. I've been on painkillers most of my life. And developed quite the addiction from there. Always breaking something or whatever, and they would prescribe me Percocet. And then later on, when Oxycontin came out, the Oxycontin. But then I became dependent on it, where it wasn't just for the pain, it was to stop the sickness, the dope sickness. So at one point, I was doing 20, 80 milligram Oxycontin a day. Had my own business. Best year I ever had. I made $180,000 and could barely pay my rent. Every nickel was going to the oxys. Having your own business or HST money you're collecting, I blew all that. I blew everything. Everything went to the drugs, like every cent. I'm on the methadone right now. I've been on it for probably 15 to 16 years, somewhere in there. Which you're not supposed to. You're supposed to get on it and then slowly taper off and be done with the opiates. But it's been a never-ending battle. If you don't have it, oh my God, do I ever get sick? Yeah, that's the difference. Opiates is a physical sickness where cocaine is more mental. If you don't have cocaine, you just want it, where the opiates, you need it, or else you're going to get violently ill and sick. And again, the restless legs, and you'll be sick to your stomach, and the cramps, and a lot of pain, body pain, and sweats. I've been clean for 3 or 4 years, and then hurt my back at work. Same thing. They put you back on Percocet, and I went on the methadone, and I was actually able to taper off and get off, and I was clean and stayed that way until, again, like I said, I hurt my back in Hamilton at work. They put me on the Percocet. I didn't take it. I suffered for about 2 or 3 days, and then I couldn't handle it anymore. So I took some, and that slippery slope, there I was again, using them every day and looking for them on the street. And it keeps the sickness away, that's for sure. Like, if I don't have opiates today, I won't be sick because I've had my old methadone. So, but it's just another trap too. It's you either get the drugs off the street or you get the methadone. It's either way, you're still tied to it. It's like a ball and chain. Like, if I want to go away on a holiday, I gotta ask the doctor for carries and this and that. Well, I used to sell the 80s. I'd get them for 40, sell them for 50. That's how I supported my own habit partially, besides working. It didn't matter how much I worked, I never had enough money to support my own habit. So I was selling them, and then I would sell the coke too. Um, Started off small, which is the way it should have stayed, and of course you get lazy and greedy, so you expand a little bit more and more. Can I send my buddy? Can I send this guy? So you say, yeah. And I got raided, I got busted. Um, Ended up, it wasn't too bad. I ended up only getting 4 months house arrest, so it wasn't too bad. Could have been a lot worse, I guess. At first, they were asking for 2 years, so I was able to plead it down to 4 months house arrest. Well, it all starts, I would say, in either Montreal or comes in on the boats, whether it be cocaine, fentanyl, heroin, whatever, or Toronto, crosses the border in Niagara or whatever. But I know Montreal is a big port, so a lot of drugs come in through there. And then it's distributed across Ontario, and the farther north you go, the more expensive it gets, and farther east you go, the more expensive it gets for some reason. Um, and it just gets down to goes from the big main source to the smaller guy, and then the smaller guy, and then you're all the way down to the street guy, which is basically where most of our people around here would be at, basically the street level. So it gets cut slowly along the way, and that's why nothing's really that pure anymore. It gets cut so many times as it's passed along. Some would be the cartels, some would be biker gangs, Hells Angels, for example, or Irish mafia, Italian mafia. They control the where it starts when it's coming in. A good friend of mine just passed away maybe 3 months ago, overdosed on fentanyl. Another lady friend of mine died in 2019, fentanyl. I've got 5 or 6 good friends that have passed away in the last 5 years of all fentanyl, overdosed. Yeah, it's a scary drug. I overdosed twice, where I had to have Narcan to bring me back, or else probably would have passed away. It's so strong. It's meant for elephants and for tranquilizing elephants and big animals. If you get a fentanyl patch from a doctor or something, that's one thing that you put on your arm. That's medical grade, but the shit everybody's doing on the street is just made in a lab, and it's coming up from Mexico or wherever from the cartels. So you never, when they press it into a pill or whatever, or turn it into, they call it purple or down, you never know if it's loaded or not. Like I said, you're basically playing Russian roulette every time you do it. Fentanyl or Oxycontin, Percocet, or heroin, any opiate basically brings you down, makes you relaxed, or that's why they call the fentanyl down, because it brings you down. Where cocaine brings you up, but it's got a euphoric feeling to it too. It makes you feel, well, I guess, warm and relaxed, very comfortable.
Peace.
Yeah, exactly. And it helps with the pain immensely. It takes any pain away that you have. Where the cocaine brings you up and you want to party and have fun, and say cocaine, crystal meth, anything along that line there, they bring you up and it's party time type thing. If you snort, half an hour to an hour before you need another line, but if you smoke the cocaine, every 10 minutes you want another hit. Right now, I'm just basically sticking to the methadone. I have used the fentanyl once in the last 2 months, but other than that, I'm doing my best to stay away from it. Well, it's amazing how you can go up so fast and down so fast, that's for sure. Never thought I'd be in this position at 52. Like I said, I had the world by the balls there, and I had my own business making huge cash. But the drugs took every cent. Just it's live life and enjoy it because you never know what's gonna happen around the corner. Stay away from the opiates. Don't, no matter how much pain you're in, don't take that pill. Because it only takes the one. And it's amazing. Some people can do them and forget about them, and that's the end of it. And other people, it just grabs a hold of, and you're addicted. And I'm one of the ones that get addicted.
What do you think this hop means to you?
Oh, it's amazing. The resources that they are able to put me in contact with, I would have never even known were there. Very helpful, very appreciative of everything that everybody's done to help me along the way.